Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So I have a little bit of a calamity going on. I've sort of decided I want to start two different journals, and I thought I would just have a bit of a creative day here and share with you what I'm working on. So no specific kind of thing in mind, just a bunch of things we need to do. So the first journal comes from this. The inspiration for the journal is this beautiful piece of fabric. I have no idea what it was for, but I just washed it this morning. It had a zipper up here, which I pulled off. I cut off rather. It was like a half zipper, so I'm guessing that it zipped onto something. But I love this beautiful fox embroidery, and I just love it. It's beautiful. Now, what I'm going to need to do though is, so I want the spine to be this essentially, and so I need a little more girth on this side to kind of match up with this. So basically I'm looking at needing to add some more fabric. So this side is 7 1/4, and then this side is not quite, I guess it's like 5 1/8. So I'm going to need to add a little extra, and I have going through all my fabrics, all my things that I've kept. This is actually a skirt that I wore years ago probably now, and I just gave it a nice wash too, because I felt like it would be a really nice add-on fabric to that other side. I really like it. So I'm going to use fabric from this skirt, and let me just see here. There's a logical place to tear it. I don't know, but we're going to definitely be tearing it. It's got these appliques on it, so it's going to be, I'm going to have to tear or cut through this one, I think. I'm just going to cut through this so I can just like tear a piece of this off. Tell me I've chosen a place where I'm going to have to cut through like 8 million appliques. Which on its own stresses me out, because it's like, oh, why are you burning that applique? It's okay though. We have a ton of this. This is like a ruffle skirt fabric. Like my reason for having this in my fabric stash, my reuse stash, is because it's just not my style anymore. I don't wear like ruffly skirts anymore that are really, really poofy. Okay, so this is, I think, going to be a pain. Hold on. Let me turn this around so that you can maybe see what I'm doing. I'm just going to cut this waistband off as I go around, because this is like a paneled skirt, right? Because that's how you accomplish like ruffly flounciness in a skirt, is you create panels, and then each of those panels gives a little bit more like width to the skirt, and then you make a bunch of little gathers basically. I forget the word right now for some reason for such a gather. Okay, that's a cute little loophole. I kind of want to keep that for something. We'll see. Am I making progress here? So I gotta take the liner out. So I just get the main fabric. Okay. Right now we're on to this second part of the panel here. Okay. Okay, so the liner's out, and then I've just got fabric. All right. So I'm gonna just, before I get into this, I'll show you what I've got sorted out for this journal so far. So I went through a bunch of papers this morning. I obviously need to cut them down. I need to fold these, which I might as well do while I'm here, and then I can just put them inside the book for a minute and get them out of my way. And that will also let me show them to you while I'm doing this. Kind of a quiet morning in my house. My daughter's feeling a little bit under the weather. Nothing serious, but I suspect camp germs. You know, that's the hard part of trying to navigate the world right now, is that you're taking a risk all the time when you choose to do things. So this is from Louisa Heinzel. I don't recall what kit, but it is one of hers, and I thought they'd be nice fussy cuts for this book. This is also a background from Louisa Heinzel. I also cannot recall the kit. Sometimes what I do, I just kind of go into all of my digitals, and I just kind of look at them as a color profile. I just go through and sort of choose. These are from Gypsy Craftery, and I liked that we had some foxes, and I also grabbed one of her pages here. So grabbed a couple of these because I felt like they'd be nice journal pages, so we can go ahead and fold those. I still need to cover the backs, and I'm thinking about doing right now as like a use up my scraps kind of project, but also like just a fun project because I really like how it looks, is doing collaged backings for these white pages, for at least some of them anyway. Also, I just kind of feel like having some relaxing collage time. That would be nice. So I can probably fold this one too. I really need to organize my digitals. Oh my goodness. They are a mess. But you know, so it's only sort of my fault. Like, I keep my digitals in folders by creator name from like A to Z, and then inside those folders they're usually in a folder, you know, based on the collection name. But the problem is, and a little word of advice to people who create digitals that they sell, is a lot of people don't give unique file names to the files. They'll just call them like, you know, 1.jpg, 2.jpg, that kind of thing. So the problem is that when you put them into a folder, this is a beautiful page, sorry, from Wishes and Weeds, from the little, she gave me a lovely stash of things that she was destashing, and I look at so many of them and I go like, why would you destash this? It's so beautiful. But I also understand, just I have too much. I get it. So that will go in here. And also she gave me some pages from my favorite bird book without knowing it was my favorite bird book. But yeah, amazing. Anyways, what was I saying? So okay, so digital organization. So yeah, if you don't give unique file names, when people put them into folders, they can, you know, replace the actual file or have to create new file structures to, like, folder structures to keep their files in, so that the names are, you know, not overriding each other. So what I'm consciously trying to do now when I create digitals for Etsy is, you know, if the collection is called, like, you know, Fox and Mouse, I'm going to call it like Fox and Mouse BK background 1. You know, like I mean, it's not new information. Like I learned all about the respecting of file names when I took web development. And you know, my instructor was very much a stickler about that, because he's like, you know, you don't want to not know what the heck is going on, what your files are. If something is a background, you know, call it that. If something is a vector, call it that. If something is a text file, call it that. You know, so he was really kind of a stickler for that kind of thing, which is good because it's ingrained in me that that's what I need to do. And I've gotten a start. Like, I've gone through maybe a third of my digitals to do that. Okay, so second journal. I'm just going to take a little break for a minute and show this one to you. So this is a lovely book. It's, I believe, a Dutch book. And it's just this orange book, and it has this writing on the front, which will get covered up. It's a nice old vintage book. I like the spine a lot. I have yet to, I think, yeah, I have to tear this out still, which is always a joy because I get a new piece of grungy book book spine, and that always makes me happy for collage reasons. That one came out so cleanly and beautifully. How nice. So this journal is going to be one of my journals based on a children's book called Angel and the Polar Bear. So maybe we'll end this video, or we'll get to this video, by going through this book, because I have to decide how I'm going to put it in this book. Now, what may transpire is that I find that I have to create a few more signatures than what this spine will be able to support. It will depend, because I think there are quite a few pages in here, but we will see. We'll see how that goes. So the papers that I've chosen for this book so far are some bluey and cool shades, because there's a polar bear, and I really would like to use some of these scrapbook papers that I've had hanging about. Oh, I've got two there. There we go. And they're quite perfect for this journal theme. So my daughter's just feeling a little lethargic. She has a low-grade fever, but she's just resting, and I think she'll be fine. I find, like, most of the time when my kids get sick, it ends up being, we've been lucky in that we haven't had the dreaded COVID, but my kids have picked up some other things, and I do try to be diligent and careful as much as I can be, or as much as anyone can be. I've had to open up my coffers of what I allow a little bit, though, so that my kids can have some experiences. And that's always stressful, because we do our best to avoid illness. And so my daughter went to camp with her Girl Guide group, and the thing that kind of bothers me about a lot of things is that they don't even, I know that the governments have all pushed us to just have no concerns about this, but it makes me upset that there isn't still some sort of due diligence, like even including in the instructions of the email. If you have any symptoms of illness, we ask that you please stay back. If you're coughing, if you're displaying cold symptoms, and I don't just mean that for like the COVID, I mean that just in general. Like, why expose a bunch of children and also people working with children to illness? Just like, why? It's the same rule as like going to school. Just don't if you're sick, right? But my daughter ended up telling me that the girl she was sleeping with, she was coughing in the night. So when I was there, I heard no coughing. Everybody looked totally fine. Asymptomatic if they were sick, for sure. But then I guess she told me after, like, when they went to bed, that the little girl and her mom, who's a leader, were both coughing. So maybe they developed something over the course of that day. I don't know. But she's definitely got a touch of it. But I find, like, my kids have been pretty lucky in that what happens is, like, they get a fever for maybe a day and a half, and then they're fine. Like, it just kind of goes away. And so I have been testing them to bits, though, so I haven't swabbed her yet, but I'm going to later today when she's not feeling so crummy. Although she's got the power of Tylenol in her system right now, so she's feeling fine. So the other things that I have for this journal, the Angel and the Polar Bear. So I recently I've been really into making my own paper dolls, and I recently I just really enjoy them. Like, I don't know, they evoke different personalities, and I just think that they're a lot of fun. And I know I'm kind of lately become a bit of a softer journal creator. I went from creating, like, scary horror kind of journals, and like, I still want to do that. I'm a diverse person, I guess, right? So if you came to me through the witchy community or the horror community or any of that, because I've created journals of that nature, don't worry, they'll be back. I just go through phases, right? Like, I have to go where my heart takes me, and right now I just happen to be a marshmallow, and that's what I'm doing. So I love these. These are by Studioloo on Etsy, by Studioloo, and they're called Sweetie Dolls, and they're these 3 adorable dolls. And so I recalled that they had black hair, and I was thinking about Angel here, and so I think those can be some fun depictions of Angel. Maybe one of her friends will decide if we're going to use that one in the journal as well. So I love those. I have to fussy cut those out. And then I have, this is from, these are little fold out pieces. Oh goodness, did she not put her name on here? Little Bindi is her name, and so they're these little fold out like flap type journal inclusions. So they have a little tab and then a little image, so you cut them out and you got little flappy journal bits, and these are her illustrations, and I really love them. They're really cute. So they're for this book as well. So I have a bit of fussy cutting to do, obviously, and certainly I have to trim down papers. And I have to, yeah, figure it all out. So, but I'm looking at this book thinking it may even just be a little too small. We'll see. I have another one that's black that I think would also be quite nice. And I may have another one that's orange. I was thinking orange or black for this book. Somebody is writing to me while I am filming. So I'm going to take a little break for 2 seconds and then we'll start in on this book. Okay, so I just took a little break and decided before I get into the book, I first want to deal with figuring out what to do with this cover. So I cut the skirt in half. I've got half of the fabric from it. And what I'd like to have down the one side here is just this beautiful embroidery. So I folded over the half that I've cut. And I don't want to lose a ton of this really cool, like houndstoothy feeling fabric on the inside. So I think what I'd like to do is just try to measure and see how close, which I can do actually just by folding this here, so it matches up to there. How close am I? Okay, so but we know we can also measure it, so let's just measure it. So we've got here 7 1/4. So I need 7 1/4 from over here, and I want to straighten this out a little bit. I could probably get my iron and just do that. So let's go over to here. So 7 1/4 is there. So this has to come in a little, but I don't want to lose all the applique either. Okay, so 7 1/4 right there. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that because I'm gonna lose a little bit of this when I stitch it. So I think I'm just gonna grab my pins. One moment. Okay, pins acquired. So I'll keep back this fabric, like I'm going to pin it, and then what we trim off I will keep because I'll probably want to use it for some ephemera, like for some pocket making and that kind of thing. So I first need to just pin here so that we keep this in place. And then I'll come in and just trim exactly what I want so I can attach it to the book. It's funny, I found this piece of fabric that's gotten me so inspired to make this journal in like a little thrift store in the baby bibs section, but I don't think it was a bib because it had a zipper on top that zipped to something, but it would not surprise me if it was some kind of like a really pretty like baby thing, because yeah, there's a lot of beautiful baby stuff out there. And then the other aspect of this that has had me thinking is this roundedness down here. I don't want this to be rounded. I want it to be more like, you know, of a squared off section, because if I don't do that, then any pages I put in here, I'd have to like round them to match, and I just don't want to deal with that. So we're going to do something with this, but first I'm going to deal with up here. Just literally cutting the excess fabric that I don't need away. So we know we don't need that any more than that. And then over here, let's get this flattened down here. We're not going to need any more than this. Okay. So that is, I think, what I want. Then I go over here. I need to move these clips. Sorry for the noise. I have these like 4 bulldog type clips, these big ones that I use when bookbinding sometimes, but I actually haven't really been using them, so I think I may just move them because you probably always hear me hit them in the video. So hold on. There. It's something I've been meaning to do for like longer than I can calculate, and I haven't gotten it done. All right, now we're going to come back here and take a look at what I can do where I want this to end. So actually that's quite nice, quite a nice line. So I think I will, we've got this open, we're not going to need this side here. So I think first I can cut off, I'm just going to follow this seam kind of here. You know, because we can always clean this up later and make it a lot more neat. So now that's escaped. Then I need to come down here and see how far this should go. Right about like that. Okay. That's all free now of that. Good, good, good. Then I need to just cut this top bit off of here. Okay. I'll come over here and actually, because I need to also stitch this, I'm going to add like a pin here. I'm going to have to definitely iron this before I stitch it because it's gotten really rumply, but I'll do that after. That's why I've left some excess fabric. Now, what I think I want to put down here are one of the applique flowers off of this dress, and or skirt rather. And maybe what I'll do is I'll try to get like 2 of them, and we'll put them back to back. So let's cut this off. Here's one. Oh my gosh, I just came so close to cutting my finger. I need to wake up before I cause a shake up. Holy cow, that was scary. Do you ever do that? Like every now and then on my sewing machine, I do that, like I get my finger somehow dangerously close to the needle and I'm like, okay, my life just flashed before my eyes. That was terrifying. I'm usually pretty careful, but you know, every now and then I just go a little rogue. And that's always a bad idea. I get in a rush or something, or I get too excited and then it's like, oh, I almost lost my finger. Reminds me of a story my girlfriend was telling me. And she's a sewing teacher, and she was telling me about how like she was teaching like I think like a 7-year-old girl to sew on a sewing machine, and like she put the needle through her thingy. Oh God, I don't even know what I would do as either a parent or a teacher if that happened, which is why I have 0 plans to teach children to sew on sewing machines. I mean, I'll teach my own children, but I don't know, not yet. I'm not ready for that stress. I have enough of my own stress right now. I'm not going to go there. Okay, so then I need to decide how I want to do this. I think I like maybe the idea of leaving a little bit of the gray around the edges. But I also want to just cut this in like a neat, a little bit of a neater shape maybe. Okay, can I use this as a guide for this? Now they're going to be back to back. So we want this to go like this, and then relatively the same. I just heard my husband sneeze. I swear that man could blow the shingles off a house with his sneeze. And he gets it from his father, who is like 10 times worse. Like, I feel like when my father-in-law sneezes, like, I need to glue the floorboards down. I need to batten down the hatches. I need to take an anti-anxiety medication. Because that man, like, I've never heard anyone require making a roar sound or something like when they sneeze, but oh my God. Also, he's a little hard of hearing, and I think that he has no idea how bad it is. But yeah, it's not good. Okay, let's cut around here. Just want to kind of match this up so that when I sew them together, they don't look all jiggity jaggedy. We'll see what we can do to make that happen and then give them kind of a sensible shape. All right, so I don't want to overlap the fox, the sweet little fox. And I need to trim this off here. So I've decided that I'm going to do on like February 26th, I'm going to do the coldest night of the year this year with my daughter. We're going to do the walk. So it's a nighttime walk. I'm just going to do the 2-kilometer one because I have my 6-year-old with me. But it's to raise money for charitable organizations in our community that help people with being unhoused, and I think that'll be a really nice thing to do. So I'm going to do that. I just shared the link on my personal Facebook page, but I may share it here with my YouTube community as well, to just like see if you'd be interested in, you know, either number one, you could donate to us for our walk if you so felt that you would like to, but you don't obviously feel obligated. Please don't feel obligated. But you could also use my link to see if in your area there is the coldest night of the year. This is in both Canada and the United States, and it supports your local charitable organizations that work directly with people who are unhoused and who are suffering from many different kinds of things. You know, people who are experiencing homelessness, hurt, loss, like, you know, people who have come upon hard times or have had a house fire or have had, you know, a death in the family that has left them destitute or something to that nature, right? So I think everybody can come together on a cause like that, right? Okay, so I think what I'll do, I'm going to trim around this a little bit closer when I sew it. Like, I'm going to sew it first, and then that's what we'll do. But I think for now, let's leave this behind, and we'll come back, and I might even add some kind of like an orange ribbon or trim or lace. I have a really nice lace that I might use there. This has me really excited. I'm very excited to work on this. Okay, so let's set that aside. And sorry, I think I just need to check one thing. Okay, so Angel and the polar bear, and I gotta get rid of these needles before I have them all over the house. There we go. So this is a book by Marie Louise Gay, and it's a lovely book, and I think what I'll do to start is I'll just separate it from its cover if I can, hopefully with little to no drama. It is glued in, so it might be a little bit challenging. We'll see. Just gonna kind of give it a pull. Yeah, okay. That glue is being nice to me. So this is the cover here. And I'm definitely going to be using this and probably this little, fussy cut this little guy out. But let's set that aside and then decide how this story and how this book is going to work. I think we have two there 2 signatures in here? Looks like, yeah, right there. They separate right here. Let's go ahead and bend them backwards for a minute. See if I can get them loosened. And I'll just verify that, yes, that is where they are connected. Sorry for being off camera. You can be a little bit careful when you do this, because see, it pulls the strings and it separates the glue, and you don't want to tear the pages to bits if possible. This to pull these strings. There's a bit more to go, but I'll figure it out as I go here. Okay, so then let's look at this story. See if we can't separate as we go. Just pull the pages here. Get rid of these strings. So this book's from 1988. Every single morning when Angel wakes up, she yells, "Mama, come here." Angel is almost 6 years old. She has a very loud voice, and every single morning Angel's mother says, "It's too early, go back to sleep." Angel's mother has a very tired voice. Angel's father sleeps like a log. This morning, Angel tried again. "Mama, come here. There's a horrible, ugly blue monster under my bed." Okay, so let's start with making a few notes. Blue monster. That's something notable in the story. "Andy's going to eat me up." Angel's father snored. Angel sighed and tried again. "Mama, Papa, there's water all around my bed. Sharks, too." Sharks. No answer. Then Angel heard the tiny splash of a fish. So let's write fish. A fish. Angel's eyes popped open. There was water all around her bed. In fact, there was water all over the apartment. "Well," said Angel, "what should I do now? I can't swim." And then Angel got a good idea. Okay. So what I think so far, if I look at this, the words are quite wide on this book. So I don't think it will work necessarily as, I mean, it would like just, but not quite fit if I were to try to make this a single page. So I suspect if I want to use that book, I'm going to have to do a lot of kind of this type of folding. And where it's on both pages, that will be tricky because I'll lose, you know, half of one of the pages. Now, I don't need every single page in the story, but I do think that it might become a problem, so I may be looking at using a different cover. Let's just keep going here and see. She lassoed her dresser, then carefully she crossed high above the water. From the top drawer, she pulled out her flippers and her rubber giraffe, and splash! She paddled all the way to her parents' bedroom. "Here I am, Mama. There weren't any sharks after all. I'm hungry." "There's cereal on the kitchen table," mumbled Angel's mother. "Don't make a mess." So we can say like breakfast. What a mess. Floating dishes, soggy cereal, and goldfish in the toaster. "I guess I'll just have a glass of milk," said Angel. When Angel opened the refrigerator door, an incredibly cold blast of air whooshed out. All the water froze, every single drop. Okay, so I'm also thinking kind of like kitchen appliances. We could use some like fun vintage kitchen type stuff maybe. Maybe some cookery and recipe type stuff. If we'd like. Anything with a flood. "Well," said Angel, "what should I do now?" Then Angel got another good idea. She slid to the hall closet, put on her hockey skates, and knee pads and skated all the way to her parents' bedroom. Look, Mama, I'm skating. Very nice, dear. Please come to the window. It's chilly in here. Meanwhile, back in the kitchen, a black nose and then an enormous white furry body slid out of the fridge. A polar bear. A gigantic polar bear with a banana in his mouth. Banana. That's something we can have fun with. And polar bear, maybe. Now go eat your breakfast, said Angel's mother. Angel did a graceful figure 8, then skated toward the kitchen and whizzed right back. Mama, there's a polar bear in the kitchen. Uh-huh. And he's eating a banana. Yes, you can have a banana, Angel. Now please let me sleep. Oh man, this is relatable. The polar bear licked his lips and slowly waddled toward the bedroom. There he is, Mama, whispered Angel. The polar bear lay down at the foot of the bed and started nibbling at the quilt. That's good to know. Quilt. Oh no, he's going to eat Mama and Papa. What should I do? Then Angel got a very good idea. She skated to the kitchen, slammed the fridge door shut, climbed up onto the chair and turned the heat up, way up. All the ice melted, every little bit of it. Then Angel opened the door and the water rushed out onto the landing and down the stairs. So did the polar bear. Angel was eating her soggy cereal when the doorbell rang. Is this your polar bear? Asked old Mr. Cantaloupe. Mr. Cantaloupe, come on, look at this guy. Who lived downstairs. He was eating my doormat. Who is that, Angel? Asked her mother. It's Mr. Cantaloupe, said Angel in a small voice. He's bringing back the polar bear. How nice of him. Say thank you, Angel. Angel stood face to face with the polar bear. The polar bear took a giant step forward. Angel took a tiny step backward. The polar bear opened his mouth wide, real wide, and growled, You want to play dominoes, kid? So Angel and the polar bear played dominoes. And they ate all the bananas, every last one. Holy cute story, right? Okay. Now, I definitely think I need a different book cover, though. And I already sort of kind of decided what page I want to use to create the cover, the inset kind of cover image for this. And I think it was this one. This one here of Angel on skates with this little friend here. I want to take this and put it on the front cover. And it's the perfect kind of page to do that, I think, because all we have on back here is this fridge. It's not really a very important page. Also, this would be nice, but I don't want to lose that page in the journal. I think it's too important. So let me just double check one thing here before I abandon the idea of using this book. So it would be fine, I think, as a folded, like a fold over kind of situation. This is where things get tough to try to decide, because I do like the orange cover. But, you know, now that I look at it, it's got this here, and I probably want to put a book plate like here, or not a book plate, but like the, you know, the image right there, and I don't want to have this. So I'm going to grab another book. One moment. Okay, so this is a bigger black book, and it's going to give me a lot more options. So let's just get this old spine out. I get another yummy old spine, which is good. Set that over here. Put away this. Okay. Just gonna shake this into the trash. Then I will move the book pieces out of the way here. My notes. I will take my notes out. This book sounds so boring. Robert Ludlum, The Aquitaine Progression. So first thing I want to do is clean my book. Just going to give it a little, it's got a bit of dust. So we want to clean all this dust off. It's not too bad, but it's a little bit dusty. Now I do see that Robert Ludlum down here. So I do see myself putting a book plate, like a journal plate on here to hold a label, so you won't even see that. I'm going to cover it completely. This has a much larger spine, which is good because everyone likes a big journal. Now I see this. I'm going to tear this back because I'm not sure if you see how totally uneven it was put on there, but it's pretty bad. And I don't like having that there because when you go to try to put your end papers in and you've got that paper there, it gets really like hard to put them down. I'm just looking for my tweezers, which I always keep hanging on the side, and I must have actually put them in there. I also seem to have a bunch of extra things in my frequently used tools caddy, including these scissors, which don't belong here at all. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of removal of this paper. And I don't need to remove all of it. I just like to sort of get rid of the edge here because I don't want it to peek out of the chosen end papers that I use for this book. Okay. There we go. That's what I want from there. Then this side and this side are pretty okay. Let's see if I can just scoop these up a little. I don't know. These papers can be a little hard to remove. This one's really quite fine because I'm going to go probably from the lowest edge anyways of this paper, and that's where I would put an end paper. This one's fine and that one's fine. It's actually a lot better than the other side was. Yeah, it's okay, and it's actually really nicely glued down, so I won't mess with it too much. Okay, get rid of all this scrappy stuff. And then I think what I would like to do probably is I'm going to go through my my scrapbook papers and look for some really nice orangey tone papers. Just because I like the orange tones in this book, and also I'm going to look for some nice end papers. So I've got fussy cutting to do, which I'll do after, but I think first let's make our decision here on this page. We need this page because it's going to be our book plate, and I can't keep hesitating. I need to get going. I've got more room with this one, which is nice because I can do a larger image on here. So now I'm just going to make a decision about where I want this to cut off. Because this book's a little wider, I'm going to want a little more width to my book plate. So I think I'll include that much there. And then probably I'll get rid of the white up here and a little bit down here. So let's just go right ahead. Okay, that's a nice little scrap that we'll keep. And this is easy. A little bit from the bottom here, and then just a titch over here, I think. And I will straighten this up with my cutter. I'll get rid of any kind of really, you know, I was just thinking about this. Let me see. I've got this backwards first of all. Yeah, I could do this here and I could cover that and do it like in the center, and the journal label could actually override this a bit if I wanted, or I could have it up a little. And then let me grab a journal. I have a bunch of different, well not a bunch, but a few different labels, and I think this one, I might want to put a more, like a little bit of a heavier one on. These are the lighter ones. I have silver too. And do I have any more of those very antique ones? Let me see. To move this coffee cup out of the way. That's the same as that one. So I have to move a couple things so I can get a better look at I have like a little hardware bin over on the side here of my desk. I just need to move some stuff so I can kind of pull it forward and not strain myself searching, looking for it. Okay, not in there. This might look like it's an unorganized, falling apart mess, but I promise you my desk is actually quite organized. Not too bad. Oh, that's really cool. I love that one. That's an antique one. And then, oh goodness, I thought I had some round labels because I wanted to use one on my last journal. And then I did the kind of cursory look that I'm doing, you know, usually. And I didn't see them, and I'm like, I must have hallucinated that I bought some of them, but here we are. They're right here, and that would have been perfect on another journal I made, but not this one. I'm all for this one. That's the one I really want to use. I actually think I could stand to buy a few more of those labels. I'll have to check out my antique store when I go back. Okay, this goes in here. We're just going to do a tiny bit of rearranging so that I'm not complaining the whole rest of the video about my own disorganization. There we go. And we're back. We're organized. Get my empty coffee cup out of the way. All right. So, yeah, that'll be nice. All right, so that will be the next project I need to work on for the cover here. Now, I'm going to do the stressful part, which is the going through the book. And we now need to see how the size of the book, like, gives us more advantages in terms of how we can put our pages in. So, let's do this. Let's be brave. Okay, Angel and the Polar Bear. First and last pages are connected. So, how do we tell this story? And how many pages are in this book to begin with? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's 4 pages in there, which can be up to 8, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so there's only 7 pages? Oh, no, 8, including this one that I tore. But it's a half page, that back one. So let's decide how to do this. All right, so this first page I'm not particularly fussed about. It's probably going to get covered if I use it. So I need these definitely to mark my signatures. All right, so then when we look at this and how it could go in, it has text on both sides that is really wide. Okay, I look at this page and I feel like either one of these I could deal with. I'm going to use this page as ephemera, okay? I don't think it's integral to the story. It's just kind of part of what's going on, you know, when she's sloshing around. Awesome. This one is a blank page. So good news there is we can use it this way. I'll set that aside and we can do this as a folded page, I think. Or as ephemera. You know, looking at these pages, I think in this larger book, to fold them isn't necessarily the right idea because they're just quite narrow. So let's use that as ephemera. Now here's our first page. So what we want to do is this. We're going to make this into a fold. That's going to be our first page. And it's going to go with this page at the back, which we're also going to turn into a, maybe not a fold actually. I might be able to just trim the edge off of that one. No, it's ever so slightly too wide. We do need to keep it, I think. Yeah, because if the signature's attaching, like if we say it's here, we'd be cutting it kind of close. Okay, so we're going to fold this in two. Okay. I need to go a little further with that. Oops, that's okay. One. Next page. Okay, so we have two. And I might actually just do the same thing. This might be the best way to use this book. Because, like, I could use this page as ephemera. And put this on the inside as the middle of the signature. Which would work, actually. Because, you know, you want that middle signature to page to be a little smaller. So let's just do it. So this is going to be ephemera pieces. And then this will be the inside signature here. Okay. Because that's got to be the middle of the story. So then this is going to be like that. One, signature one has those. Then signature 2 has to start this same kind of way. Yeah, because these have just a ton of writing on them, so it's okay. Let's do this. This one, yeah, this is the one that has the polar bear body that goes, you know, these pages have to stay together. So I think that for this one, we are going to have to, with the rest of the pages, do them as fold-ins, which isn't a problem. You know, it's not like an issue that there isn't like a bunch of diverse ways of using this, because really the options are like cutting the page off, which I could do on this one, but then we lose dad, you know, and why do we want to lose the dad here? So let's just fold them in. Okay, and then we have the last page here. And maybe we'll fold it the opposite way. And we're going to get to do some fun things with these folds, so I'm not, like, worried. Okay, so this is the bulk of the story now, that will go into the center signature, because it's going to have 3 pages, where this one has 2. So 3, 2, 3, and then this will be the final page, and I need that to be attached to something else, so I'm going to have to attach these together. I'm tempted to like use up use these pages, but I don't want to at the same time. So I need to attach another page to this so that I can put it in the journal this way, because this will be our last page. I should need to go a little further with my fold. There we go. That's better. Okay, last page of our journal, and let's see where I want to attach that. If I have any paper hanging around, because it needs another side. Okay, let me get a piece of paper here. I'm just going to use a normal piece of paper. Then I will grab this. It needs to be about the same size. So this over here, and then we're going to attach these two together. And I love that this is a little shorter. Give this a press down and make sure there's no I may just take a little titch off the edge here. We have a little glue there, and I don't like dealing with the gluey edge, because the glue like gets hard over time, and it's really hard to glue it down on things. Now I need some washi tape. That one. Where is my, this one? That's the one I want. The fun washi tape. Pull that off and grab my glue book. Okay. This tape nice and glued, and that's probably enough right there. It's good for that side. Cut a little square out. This little bit here. I'm just going to add it here as a fun little piece of tape. Not necessary to the structure, but super cute. Okay, and then we will give this a nice fold. And then that will fold in here. Okay, now let's take a look and see if there's anything we need to change. So this is the first page. This tells the story. This is the center here. The fish, the angel got a good idea. Okay, so yeah, that one is good. This is the middle of the story. We know this continues. We know that this has to stay here and continue. Yeah, these pages all just have to stay together. I can't separate them because they're too important as a single structure to the book. Now this is typical with like trying to do a book like this, where some books work better than others, or not better, but just differently, right? So this one's going to be a little different. And then the story is going to end. And on the other signature, this final signature, this will be here. So I think that this book is big enough to support 5 signatures, but we only have in 3 signatures the parts of the story. So this is why I often say, like, if you are trying to make a book like this and you have more than one copy of the children's book, that's awesome, but you don't need it, because what we have to do, or what we can do, is we've got a little bit of the book left over. We've got this, right? So I've got a few pages, and then I have the option to like add this. This will all become ephemera, so we can continue to tell the story and put pieces of the story in the other 2 signatures, or we can just literally make, you know, interesting other signatures, the other 2 signatures. They don't have to have pieces, but they will. So I'm going to say that this has to be signature 1, obviously. Then I'm going to say the next one will be signature 3, because it's the middle signature that has the 3 big things in it. So 1, 3, and 5. The 3 big things, the 3 pages. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Okay, so that's signature 5. So we need a 2 and a 4. And I will start working on those. But I think for the purposes of this video, we're probably good. I think that the next thing I want to do is get this cut straight, mounted on some nice card, and then mounted on the cover. So I will probably do that and come back, and it's going to look probably something like this once it's done, but I have a bit more work to do with it, I think, to make it exactly how I want it to be. So that's it for me for now, and I hope you had fun. I'm going to continue working away on Angel and the Polar Bear and the Textile Fox Journal, and I will see you again for the next make along video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye for now.